Howdy. Something I'm going to talk about that I don't talk about a lot, um, but this week marked 15 years of sobriety for me, and that's well worth saying something because it's been quite the journey. I got I got sober 15 years ago on October 25th in Boise, Idaho. Um, my life has changed completely, obviously, but uh, just a little insight into it for anybody ever out there struggling. There's always help. Just know that. But my whole life, I've been blessed in a lot of ways. But I'll remember when I had my first beer at six. It was around, I think it was sixth grade outside of Grizzly Bear Pizza in Twin Falls, Idaho, out of an older, like junior high school or high school guy's trunk. I had a beer, and I can remember this. I can remember loving it and remembering in my little sixth grade head, this might be a problem. I'm Irish. I'm half Irish and half Finnish, was already genetically going against me. The rest of my family are teetotalers, so I must have got it all. But the point being is, I had fun. I partied a lot. I lived in Los Angeles for 20 years in a business. I was in the movie business, which sort of, you could get away with a lot more than in normal life. And I did a lot of things. I lived hard for a lot of years, and one of what I wanted to do. I wanted to go out and experience life, and one of my um, I just wanted to, so I knew where I was coming from. But I tried a lot. So I partied, I did the drugs, I did coke and pot, and I was a pothead for about a year. But alcohol was my thing. That was the one I really had to deal with. And for the most part, for years, I thought I had it managed. I was a weekend warrior. I had a great career. I lived on the beach in LA, and I was brushing shoulders with famous people and traveling the world, and I had it under control. But the big lie, at least for me, is you never really do have it under control. And something flipped for me about, I must have been in my mid 30s, that it just quit being fun for me. Partying, it just was not fun, and then it becomes sort of a job, and then it became something I used as a crutch. And I've gone through a lot. I'm not going to go into real deep detail here, but we all manifests our problems, or we keep problems down inside, and it manifests itself in different ways. And addiction is one of those. And I just wasn't addressing a lot of issues that I had, like many people. And I was just partying a lot. I was drinking a lot. And due to, after about 20 years in LA, um, and towards the end of it, I was burnt out on my career. I was in a really horrible relationship. She was a producer as well, and we did a couple of movies together. And she was worse than I was when it came to addictions. And anyway, everything collapsed. I had enough, and I moved back to Idaho. I left LA probably um, at my what we call in Alcoholics Anonymous, our bottoms. Everybody has their bottom, that point where you say you just can't go anymore and you need help. And I was close to it. I had left, just completely left LA. I lived a relationship. I had to get out. I knew one of us was going to be in trouble, die, or be in jail. And I came back to Idaho to try to straighten myself up. But this is 15, 16, 7. This is about 16 and a half years ago. I came back to Idaho, Boise, to at least come back home a little bit and see what I could do. I was still drinking for another year when I got back to Boise, and due to help and support from some really dear friends and family, I was able to finally um, find myself and start anew. But it's a long, long story. I've actually talks about it. I call it From Hollywood to Health. Back when I lived in Houston, I used to go to Rotary and things and talk about it. I hit my bottom. I really hit the darkest point I'd ever been in my life, but there was a point where I had no choice. I had to go up or down, and there's a fork in the road for all of us. Many choices in life, and I had to make that decision, and I made the right decision, and I decided to stop. It wasn't just deciding to stop. Many miracles happened in my life. I was just so tired of drinking. I always knew I always knew that it was a problem, and the last 5 years or so, I was done. I knew I was going to quit, or something bad was going to happen. I mean, I had a couple of DUIs in LA. I did the whole thing. I have stories upon stories. Point being is, I had help, and a lot of it came from my higher power, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, intervened, because I could never. There were times when I would um, quit drinking for a week or two when I was training in LA for a triathlon or something. But it was the craving for alcohol that I couldn't fathom in my brain to ever let it go, because I loved it so much. And this disease gets you so much towards at least for me, towards the end of my career in Los Angeles. I would be driving at the freeway interchange, waiting at a light or something, and see all the homeless people under the freeway with signs. And in my head, I would say, oh, that's going to be me. It was matter of fact. Oh, that's going to be me. I'll lose everything, but I'll still have my alcohol. This is how effed up the thinking gets, for me at least. And the day I said I'd had enough, um, or I knew I had to stop, a series of phone calls to a brother of mine and some people who had me at an AA meeting, um, I made the choice. It was my choice. There was no intervention or anything. I went to that AA meeting in the north end of Boise, and came home that night and threw out all my alcohol and went to sleep that night. Had a very peaceful sleep and woke up that next morning with the craving of alcohol completely taken away from me. Um, it was one of the first of many miracles that happened for me in my life. It was divine intervention. There's no doubt about it, because I could not fathom the craving for alcohol being taken. I couldn't. It had such a hold on me. Literally that night it stopped. Um, and I go to some meetings. I don't go to a lot now anymore. I go a couple times a year, to share my story. But I still hear people 15, 20 years still struggling with that craving and the addiction and things. And it's a manipulative disease. But for me, it was amazing. And that led to a lot of things. This first year, I stayed in Boise. I was going to meetings every day, a couple times a day in the North End, starting to sleep better, getting my health back together. And all this folded upon itself to lead into what, if you're following me, what I do now. And met my business partner and best friend, Wendy, who was provincial and very in helping me also with coming out of my alcoholism. She saved my life among other people. But we started the holistic wellness company that we had in Houston. So there's a reason for anything. I don't believe in coincidences, but through all my struggles through the years of addiction, alcoholism, just all sorts of things, and going through all that, I'm now able to pull from that and help with anybody who comes to me who needs help with anything from the basic nutrition, what I call the far out woo woo, because that's what I teach now for anyone that follows me. So we have this holistic company. We moved to Texas to start with, using me as a guinea pig. I'm fresh, sober. And I remember getting sober, and that first year was something else. I really had to relearn everything. I was 45 years old and starting a new life, and it's literally like being born again, because my whole old life, everything I did revolved around alcohol. Everything. Even when I traveled to Europe and stuff, I would go to the bars there, and sometimes just blowing off going out sightseeing because I want to drink. There were times in my life where I gave up potentially really good relationships with a woman because they didn't drink that much. And I knew that would be an issue. These were conscious choices. These are all things that go through our heads. I won't get into a lot of it, but I went through it all. So now all that experience I'm able to bring to the forefront to help people on whatever level they need help. My point, I guess, to all this and sharing a little bit of my story is, and I say this because if I can, anybody can, because I never thought I could. I thought I was going to die first, and I'd have a bottle in my hand before I let it go. That's how powerful it was on me. I never thought I'd be able to conquer my drinking addiction. I never did. And so with the first miracle that happened, it led to other things where just epiphanies, revelations, um, getting into holistic teaching, which started to help me repair my body naturally. I got into yoga, which I teach now, meditation, what I call these woo-woo things, energy healing. It works for me. It helped save my life. Many, many things helped save my life. Music, all of it. So it all came towards all my personal experiences. Now I'm able to reach into my bag of tricks and help whoever comes my way. So I understand now why I had to go through all that. to be where I am now. And I never, ever, and all my friends know this now and people know me, I never thought I could be this happy, that life could be this good and it gets better every day. So I share this because anybody who has an issue, who are thinking there's always help there. And I'm not one of those people to point at somebody and says, oh, you're an alcoholic or you're an addict or something. I'm cool. I'll go to a bar with a friend if they need to. I just don't stay out till 2 in the morning. I'm not one of those crazies, but I shouldn't say crazies, just real that's a bad word. I'm not one of those real intense people when it comes to addiction. I know what works for me, but I'm okay with other surroundings. But my point being is, if you ever think you have a problem, don't reach out. There are people like us here to help. There's a whole network out there to help bring you in, and I've helped a lot of people. My life was saved by friends and family, really, really was. And I'm leading a life now that I could never fathom, never fathomed. And it started with me quitting drinking, and that was it. So I just wanted to share that a little bit with you guys. Anybody who's listening, it's a fabulous life. I mean, I'm 61 now and feel like it's just beginning, and I've been able to experience so much with rose-colored glasses now, not just foggy beer goggles. But I have stories, and I've told a few, and I'll probably tell more. I've had a great time in a lot of my old experiences. Sometimes I paint a picture of LA being dark, and I paint it of my last few years there. But a large part of my time in LA was great, wonderful stories. It can make a movie out of it, but that's for another day. I'll tell you that day. So have hope if you are struggling with any sort of addiction, food addiction, sex addiction, anything. Have hope there are people out there to help. Don't be afraid to reach out because it can change your life, but you have to be ready. And this is the other thing with what I call normies, with people who are normies, who don't understand their alcohol spouse or family members. You can't put logic to it because addiction has no logic. You'll sell your own mother to feed that fix. So the person who is an addict or an alcoholic has to make that choice themselves. Nobody else can do it for them. And then the help begins. So I hope that helped. I'm in Idaho. The fall is coming down. It's fall. Leaves are coming down. And I just wanted to share that. 15 years. It's been an amazing, amazing journey this last 15 years. And I can't wait to see what the next 15 unfolds. Namaste.